When Jake finds a late-night text on his wife's phone, his world flips. "Meet me at 1 a.m., it reads. She's been slipping away for months, but this time, he's done waiting on the porch. With a plan sharper than her lies, Jake turns her betrayal into his freedom. Will she realize what she's lost before it's too late? Jake's boots crunched on the gravel outside his Austin bungalow, the kind of sound that grounded him after a long day at the garage. It was 7 p.m., and the Texas sun still hung low, painting the sky orange. He'd spent the day rebuilding a carburetor for a neighbor's vintage Mustang. No charge, because that's who he was, Jake Carter, the guy who fixed things, whether it was cars or kids' bikes for his nephew's Little League team. His hands, stained with grease, gripped the front door handle. He expected the smell of Mia's cooking, maybe her usual playlist humming through the kitchen. Instead, the house was silent, the air stale. Mia, his wife of 5 years, had been a spark when they met. Her laugh could pull a crowd at any Austin dive bar. She taught yoga downtown, her classes packed with tech bros and artists chasing her energy. Jake loved her fire, the way she'd plan spontaneous road trips to Marfa or drag him to food truck festivals. But lately, that fire flickered elsewhere. She'd been coming home later, her phone buzzing more, her stories vaguer. Work event, she'd say, or client dinner ran long. Jake didn't push. Trust was their deal, or so he thought. Tonight, he'd planned tacos from Torchy's, their spot, to surprise her. He set the bag on the counter, the foil crinkling as he unpacked. His phone pinged. Running late, studio stuff. Be home by 9. No emoji, no love you. Jake exhaled, grabbed a beer from the fridge, and sank into the couch. The tacos would be cold by 9. He scrolled through his phone, checking their shared calendar. Empty, as usual. He'd suggested syncing schedules weeks ago, hoping to carve out time together. Mia had laughed, called it cute, but never added a single event. At 9:30, the front door stayed shut. Jake ate a taco alone, the queso congealing. His eyes drifted to Mia's phone, left on the counter, a rare slip. She was religious about keeping it close, passcode locked. Curiosity tugged. He tapped the screen, and a notification glowed. Meet me at 1 a.m. at the Driscoll. See. No contact name, just a number. The Driscoll was a swanky hotel downtown, not the kind of place for yoga client meetings. Jake's chest tightened, but he didn't call her. Instead, he opened his laptop and checked their joint account. 3 withdrawals this week, $200, $150, $80, labeled miscellaneous. Mia hadn't mentioned them. He leaned back, staring at the ceiling. The guy who fixed everyone's problems had one of his own. Jake wasn't the yelling type. He didn't do ultimatums or smash dishes. He thought in systems, diagnose, plan, repair. So he started. He screenshot the text, saved it to a private folder. He logged into their bank app, set up alerts for any withdrawal over $50. Then he texted his buddy Logan, "Need a favor. Can I crash at your lake house if things get weird?" Logan replied instantly, "Anytime, man. You good?" Jake typed back, figuring it out. By 10:15, headlights swept the driveway. Mia breezed in, her gym bag slung over her shoulder, her voice bright. "Hey, babe. Sorry, class ran over, then drinks with the team." She kicked off her sneakers and grabbed a taco, unwrapping it like nothing was off. Jake watched her, his face neutral. "Drinks at the Driscoll?" he asked, testing. Her fingers froze on the foil, just for a second. "Nah, just the usual spot," she said, not meeting his eyes. "You should have come." "Got work early," Jake said, standing. "Left you some tacos. I'm hitting the shower." He didn't wait for her reply. In the bathroom, he let the water run hot, drowning out the noise in his head. The text wasn't proof, but it was a crack in the engine. He'd spent years keeping their life running, paying bills, fixing leaks, coaching kids while Mia chased her glow. Now he saw it. She wasn't just drifting. She was steering somewhere else. Jake dried off, pulled on a t-shirt, and grabbed his phone. He texted Mia, "Let's do dinner tomorrow, Torchy's, 7 sharp. You in?" Her reply came fast. "Sure, sounds good." He nodded to himself. Step 1, set a baseline. If she showed up late or flaked, he'd know more. Step 2, protect his own assets. He moved $500 from their joint account to his personal one, enough to cover rent on a cheap place if it came to that. Step 3, observe. He wasn't ready to confront her, not yet. Jake needed data, not drama. The next morning, he woke early, brewed coffee, and headed to the garage. His coworker Gina was already there, tinkering with a motorcycle. "You look like you slept in a toolbox," she said, tossing him a rag. Jake smirked. "Long night. You got that carb done?" They worked in sync, the garage humming with drills and classic rock. Gina didn't pry, but her glance said she'd noticed his edge. Jake focused on the engine in front of him, methodical. Every bolt he tightened was a decision. He wouldn't be the guy waiting on the porch anymore. By 6:30 p.m., Jake was at Torchy's, claiming their usual booth. He ordered a beer and waited, phone face down. At 7:15, no Mia. At 7:30, his phone buzzed. Traffic's a mess, they're in 10. He sipped his beer, counting minutes. At 7:45, Mia slid into the booth, all smiles. God, Austin's a parking nightmare, she said, ordering a margarita. You good? Jake leaned forward, elbows on the table. You said 7. It's 7:45. Traffic's not 45 minutes from downtown. Mia laughed, waving it off. Relax, it's tacos, not a board meeting. She reached for his hand, but he pulled back to grab his beer. It's respect, he said. I show up when I say I will. You should too. Her smile faltered, but she recovered, launching into a story about a new yoga client. Jake listened, noting how she dodged his point. The tacos arrived, and he ate in silence, mapping his next move. Mia wasn't just late. She was betting he'd let it slide. He wouldn't. Back home, Jake sat at his workbench in the garage, tools spread out. He opened his laptop and drafted a budget, splitting their bills 50/50ths. He emailed it to Mia with a note. Let's make this fair. I'm done covering extras. Then he called his sister, Emma, who lived in Houston. If I need to crash somewhere, you got space? He asked. Emma didn't hesitate. Always. What's going on? Jake kept it short. Mia's playing games. I'm setting boundaries. Emma's voice softened. You deserve better, Jake. Call me anytime. He hung up, staring at the toolbox his dad had given him years ago. It was scratched, heavy, reliable, everything he wanted to be. Mia's laughter floated from the house, her voice on a call, carefree. Jake closed the laptop. He wasn't leaving tonight, but he was done being her fallback. Tomorrow, he'd cancel her gym membership autopay and reroute his direct deposit to his personal account. Small moves, precise, like tuning an engine. Mia thought she could coast. Jake was about to shift gears. Jake woke to the hum of his phone alarm at 5:30 a.m., the Austin air still cool before the day's heat settled in. He slipped out of bed, leaving Mia asleep, her phone charging on the nightstand. Last night's dinner at Torchy's had confirmed his suspicions. She wasn't just late. She was testing how far she could push. Jake wasn't about to play her game. He brewed coffee, grabbed his keys, and headed to the garage, where his tools waited like a loyal crew. Today, he'd tighten the bolts on his plan. At the shop, Jake dove into a transmission rebuild, the clank of metal grounding his thoughts. Gina, his co-worker, rolled in at 7, tossing him a breakfast taco from a food truck. You're here early, she said, eyeing his focus. Got a lot on my mind, Jake replied, wiping his hands. He didn't spill details. Gina didn't need them to know something was brewing. By noon, he'd finished the job and checked his phone. Mia had texted, budget email? Really? Can we talk tonight? Jake typed back, 7 p.m., at home. Be there. He wasn't holding his breath. He spent the afternoon helping a neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, with her old Chevy's alternator. She offered him lemonade and stories about her grandkids, a reminder of why he loved this community. Back home, he showered and sat at the kitchen table, laptop open to their bank app. He'd already rerouted his paycheck to his personal account and canceled Mia's gym autopay. Now he flagged every miscellaneous withdrawal she'd made in the past month. $600 total, none explained. He printed the transactions and set the paper next to his coffee mug, ready for their talk. At 7:20, Mia's car pulled into the driveway. She walked in, gym bag in hand, her steps light as if she could breeze past the tension. Hey, sorry, class ran over, she said, grabbing a water bottle from the fridge. Jake pointed to the clock. 20 minutes late. Again. Mia sighed, sitting across from him. It's not a big deal, Jake. Why the budget ambush? He slid the transaction list toward her. $600 in a month. No receipts, no explanations. What's the deal? Mia glanced at the paper, then pushed it back. Client dinners, drinks, networking. Yoga's competitive. You know that. Her tone was casual, but her fingers tapped the table. Jake leaned forward. Networking at the Driscoll at 1 a.m. Her eyes flicked up, caught, then softened. That was a group thing. You're making it weird. Jake didn't flinch. I'm making it clear. You want to spend, you cover it. I'm done bankrolling your nights out. She laughed, sharp and dismissive. You're acting like I'm hiding something. I'm building my career. Jake opened his laptop, pulling up their shared calendar, still empty on her end. Building a career doesn't mean ghosting your husband. You didn't show up for our nephew's game last week. You bailed on dinner with Logan and Tara. I'm not your assistant. Mia's smile faded. You're blowing this out of proportion. I'm busy. Jake stood, grabbing his keys. Busy's fine. Dishonest isn't. I'm staying at Logan's tonight. Figure out your half of the bills. He walked out, ignoring her call of, Jake, come on. The drive to Logan's lake house on Lake Travis was quiet, the city lights fading into dark water. Logan met him at the door with a beer. You okay, man? He asked. Jake nodded. Just recalibrating. They sat on the deck, the lake lapping below. Jake didn't vent, he mapped. Step 1, separate finances. Step 2, test her commitment. The next morning, Jake texted Mia, meet me at Zilker Park, 6 p.m. We talk or we don't. He spent the day at the garage, swapping out a radiator and coaching a new mechanic, Diego, on torque settings. Work kept him sharp, his hands steady. At 6:05, he stood by the park's Barton Springs entrance, watching families and joggers pass. Mia arrived at 6:15, sunglasses on, her stride confident. You're really doing this, she said, half laughing. Camping out at Logan's? Jake crossed his arms. I'm done waiting for you to show up. Last night, you didn't answer about the money. Or the Driscoll. So here's the deal. You add your schedule to the calendar, pay your share, and show up when you say you will. Or I'm out. Mia rolled her eyes. You sound like a landlord, not a husband. Jake stepped closer. A husband's a partner, not a doormat. Pick one. She hesitated, then nodded. Fine. I'll update the calendar. Can you come home now? He studied her, searching for sincerity. I'll come back when I see proof. Calendar by tomorrow, bills split by Friday. He walked away, leaving her by the springs. Back at Logan's, he checked the calendar app, still empty. But his phone pinged with a bank alert. Mia had transferred $300 to their joint account, labeled bills. A start, but not enough. Jake called his sister, Emma, for advice. She's playing nice to keep you hooked, Emma said. Watch her actions, not her words. The next day, Jake stopped by the house to grab tools. Mia was there, on a video call with her yoga crew, laughing too loud. She waved him in, all smiles. Babe, I added a dinner to the calendar. Friday, 7, that Italian place on South Congress. Jake checked his phone. There it was, dinner with Jake, 7 p.m. He nodded. Good. I'll be there. But he wasn't betting on her. He texted Logan, keep the guest room open. Friday came, and Jake arrived at the restaurant early, snagging a patio table. The South Congress vibe buzzed. Street musicians, neon signs, couples laughing. At 7:10, no Mia. At 7:30, his phone buzzed. Running late, be there by 8. Jake paid for his drink, left a tip, and drove to Logan's. He texted Mia, I don't wait anymore. Calendar's not a promise, it's a contract. Her reply was instant. You're being ridiculous. I'm almost there. He didn't respond. Instead, he opened his laptop and listed their shared expenses, mortgage, utilities, insurance. He'd pay his half, nothing more. By Sunday, Mia hadn't added another event to the calendar. Jake met Gina for coffee at a food truck park, needing a sounding board. She's stringing you along, Gina said, tossing a fry. You're doing the right thing. Protect yourself. Jake nodded, his plan solidifying. He'd give Mia one last chance to step up, a public test. He texted her, Tara's barbecue next Saturday, 5 p.m. We go together, on time, or I go alone. Her reply, I'll be there. Promise. Jake saved the text, knowing promises weren't her strong suit. Jake spent the week before Tara's barbecue fine-tuning his approach. Each morning, he woke at his temporary spot at Logan's lake house, the quiet of Lake Travis sharpening his focus. He'd already separated his finances, rerouted his paycheck, and stopped covering Mia's extras. His phone stayed silent. No new calendar updates from her, no follow-through on her promise to split bills. The $300 she'd transferred was a gesture, not a commitment. Jake wasn't chasing anymore. He was building an exit. At the garage, he threw himself into a custom job, a vintage Bronco needing a full engine overhaul. The work kept his hands busy and his mind clear. Diego, the new mechanic, shadowed him, asking questions about timing belts. Jake explained, patient but clipped, his thoughts on Mia's latest dodge. She'd texted about a work thing last night, claiming she'd be home late. No details, no apology. He checked the bank app, another $120 withdrawal, unlabeled. He screenshotted, adding it to his growing file. On Thursday, Jake called his sister, Emma, during a lunch break at a taco truck. She's still playing loose with the truth, he said, crumpling a napkin. Emma's voice was steady. You've set boundaries. Stick to them. If she shows up at the barbecue, great. If not, you've got your answer. Jake nodded to himself, the plan solid. The barbecue would be Mia's last chance to prove she valued their partnership. He wasn't holding out hope, but he'd give her the stage. Saturday arrived, the Austin sun blazing over Zilker Park. Jake parked his truck near Tara's house, a short walk from the park's green expanse. He carried a tray of ribs he'd smoked overnight, the smoky scent trailing him. Tara's backyard was alive. Kids chasing a soccer ball, music pumping from a Bluetooth speaker, and neighbors clustered around coolers. Logan greeted him with a fist bump. You brought the good stuff, he said, eyeing the ribs. Mia coming? Jake set the tray down. Supposed to. We'll see. At 5:05, Jake scanned the crowd. No Mia. He helped Tara set up, flipping burgers and passing out drinks, his ease masking the clock in his head. By 5:30, his phone buzzed, stuck at studio, there by 6. He didn't reply. Instead, he joined a group of old friends by the grill, laughing at their stories about a botched camping trip. At 6:15, Mia swept in, her yoga bag slung over her shoulder, her voice loud as she hugged Tara. Sorry, y'all, crazy day, she called, playing to the crowd. Jake watched her work the room, charming neighbors with stories of her latest yoga retreat. She slid next to him, looping her arm through his. Hey, babe, these ribs are a hit, she said, loud enough for others to hear. Jake stepped out of her grip, handing her a plate. Glad you made it. An hour late. Her smile tightened, but she laughed it off. Traffic, you know how it is. The crowd chuckled, eating it up. Jake didn't. As the sun dipped, Tara cranked the music and the vibe loosened. Mia pulled Jake aside, near a picnic table littered with empty cans. You're acting weird, she said, her tone low. Everyone's watching us. Jake crossed his arms. You're performing. I'm not. You said 5. You showed at 6:15. No call, no heads up. That's the pattern. Mia's eyes narrowed. You're embarrassing me. Lighten up. Jake leaned in, voice calm but firm. I'm not your prop. You want to play perfect couple? Start showing up. She scoffed, turning to rejoin the crowd. Jake didn't follow. Instead, he grabbed Logan and a few others for a quick game of cornhole, letting Mia work her charm solo. Half an hour later, she was back, this time with a drink in hand, her voice sweeter. Can we talk? Alone? Jake nodded, leading her to a quiet corner of the yard. What's up? He asked, keeping it neutral. Mia sighed, setting her drink down. I know I've been off. The studio's intense, and I'm trying to keep up. I'll do better. Calendar, bills, all of it. Jake studied her, the words familiar but hollow. You've said that before. Last week, you bailed on dinner. Last night, another work thing. I'm not buying promises anymore. Her jaw tightened. You're making me the bad guy. I'm here, aren't I? Jake shook his head. You're here for them, he said, nodding toward the crowd. Not for us. Before she could respond, Tara called everyone for a group photo. Mia grabbed Jake's hand, pulling him into the shot. As the camera clicked, she leaned in, whispering, You're blowing this out of proportion. Jake stepped back, addressing the group, his voice clear. I'm done playing backup. Mia's been running her own show, late nights, secret texts, dipping into our account. I've covered for her too long. The yard went silent, eyes darting between them. Mia laughed, nervous. He's joking, y'all. I'm not, Jake said, locking eyes with her. You want freedom? You've got it. I'm out. He handed Logan the tongs. Take over, man. I'm done here. Mia's face froze, her charm cracking. Jake, wait, she called, but he was already walking to his truck. The crowd parted, their whispers trailing him. He drove to Logan's, the city blurring past, his pulse steady. He'd laid it bare, not for revenge, but for clarity. Mia's game was up. At the lake house, Jake sat on the deck, the water dark and still. He texted Emma, called it at the barbecue. I'm done. She replied, proud of you. You've got this. He opened his laptop, pulling up a rental listing he'd bookmarked. A small apartment near Lake Travis, affordable, with a garage for his tools. He filled out the application, his fingers moving fast. Then he blocked Mia's number for the night, needing space to think. Tomorrow, he'd move his essentials and finalize the split. Mia could keep the house, the bills, the spotlight. Jake was rewriting his own story. Jake's new apartment near Lake Travis was bare but functional. A single room with a small kitchen and a garage big enough for his workbench. He moved in the day after the barbecue, hauling tools, a duffel of clothes, and a folding chair from Logan's. The lease was month to month, no strings, just like he wanted. By 8 a.m., a.m., he was at the garage, wrench in hand, tearing into a Jeep's suspension. Work was his anchor, each bolt a step away from the life he'd left. His phone stayed quiet. No text from Mia since he'd walked out. He didn't check for them. At noon, Gina slid a coffee across the workbench. Heard about the barbecue blowout, she said, her tone neutral. You holding up? Jake nodded, tightening a lug nut. Better than ever. Got my own place now. Gina raised an eyebrow. Fast work. She tried to pull you back yet? Jake shook his head. She will. I'm not biting. He spent the afternoon training Diego on brake repairs, his focus sharp. By 5 p.m., he'd finalized the split of their utilities, emailing Mia a spreadsheet. Mortgage, water, electric, his half covered, hers due by the 15th. No reply came. That evening, Jake drove to a food truck park off Barton Springs Road, grabbing a burger and sitting alone under string lights. His phone buzzed, a message from Tara. Mia's a mess. Says you blindsided her. Can you talk to her? Jake typed back. She knew the score. I'm done talking. He pocketed the phone and ate, the hum of live music drowning out the noise in his head. He wasn't angry, just resolute. Mia had chosen her path. He was paving his. The next morning, Jake joined a hiking group at McKinney Falls, a new routine to fill his weekends. The trail was rugged, the air thick with cedar. A woman named Sarah, a park ranger, led the group, her directions clear and her questions direct. You new to Austin? She asked Jake as they navigated a rocky path. Born here, he said. Just starting over. She nodded, no prying, and pointed out a hawk circling above. Jake liked her straightforwardness. It felt clean, uncalculated. By Wednesday, Mia broke her silence with a text. Made dinner. Come home, let's fix this. Jake didn't respond. Instead, he called his bank, closing their joint credit card to prevent surprise charges. He emailed Mia. House is yours. I've paid my half of bills through the month. Handle the rest. Her reply was instant. You're acting like we're done. We need to talk. Jake saved the message but didn't answer. He wasn't shutting her out. He was shutting the door on her deflections. At the garage, a client dropped off a rusted Mustang, a project Jake took on solo. As he sanded the frame, Logan swung by, leaning against the hood. Mia's telling people you bailed without warning, he said. Jake kept sanding. She's rewriting history. I gave her chances, calendars, dinners, bills. She didn't show. Logan nodded. Folks are picking sides. Tara's team Mia, but I'm with you. Jake paused, meeting his eyes. Appreciate it. I don't need sides, just space. That night, Jake's phone lit up with a voicemail from Mia. Her voice was soft, rehearsed. I messed up, okay? I've been selfish. Come to the house tomorrow, 7 p.m. I'll cook. We'll talk, really talk. Jake listened twice, then deleted it. He'd heard her promises before, each one a hook with no weight. Instead, he drove to his apartment, set up his workbench, and started sketching plans for a custom toolbox. The act of building, of creating something solid, steadied him. Friday came, and Jake skipped Mia's dinner invite. He met Sarah and the hiking group for a sunset trek at Mount Bonnell. The view of the Colorado River below sparked a quiet satisfaction. He was here, present, not waiting for anyone. Sarah handed him a water bottle, her smile easy. You're quiet, but you listen, she said. Good trait. Jake shrugged. I'm learning what matters. She didn't push, and he appreciated that. By Sunday, Mia's texts escalated. You're throwing us away. I'm trying. Then a photo of their old dining table, set for two, with a caption, this was for you. Jake didn't reply. He spent the day at the garage, finishing the Mustang's frame. Gina joined him, cranking the radio to Willie Nelson. She's staging a show, Gina said, tossing him a wrench. Don't fall for it. Jake caught it. Not planning to. She's got the house, the bills, the spotlight. I'm good. Monday brought a call from Emma. Mia called me, crying, she said. Says she's losing everything. Jake tightened a bolt on the Mustang. She's losing what she took for granted. I'm not her safety net anymore. Emma sighed. She's telling people you're cold. I set them straight. You're just done. Jake thanked her, then hung up. He checked the bank app. No new payments from Mia for her share of the bills. He wasn't surprised. That evening, Jake stopped by a hardware store for screws, running into Tara. She looked uneasy, clutching a paint roller. Mia's struggling, she said. The studio cut her classes. She can't keep up with the house. Jake grabbed a pack of screws. She wanted to run her own show. Now she is. Tara frowned. You sound harsh. Jake paid at the register. I'm honest. She'll figure it out. He left without looking back, the screws in his pocket a small, tangible win. Back at his apartment, Jake checked his email. The landlord confirmed his lease extension, another month secured. He texted Sarah, "Any hikes this weekend?" She replied, "Saturday, 8 a.m., Barton Creek. You in?" Jake typed in. He leaned back, the hum of his fridge the only sound. Mia's world was unraveling, but Jake's was taking shape. He wasn't punishing her. He was protecting himself. The next move was hers, but Jake wasn't holding his breath. Jake's new routine felt like a well-tuned engine. He woke early in his Lake Travis apartment, the morning quiet broken only by the hum of his coffee maker. By 7 a.m., he was at the garage, elbow deep in a pickup's fuel pump, the work pulling him forward. His phone, once a tether to Mia's chaos, now held texts from Sarah about hiking trails and Diego about shop schedules. He'd paid his half of the old house's bills through the month, leaving Mia to handle hers. No word from her since her last staged dinner photo. Jake didn't check for updates. He was done tracking her. At the garage, a client dropped off a dented F-150, praising Jake's work on a neighbor's car. "You're the guy who gets it done," the client said, handing over the keys. Jake nodded, pride flickering. He'd built a reputation in Austin, not just as a mechanic, but as a man who showed up. After work, he joined Sarah's hiking group at Barton Creek Greenbelt, the trail's rocky climb matching his steady pace. Sarah pointed out a hidden waterfall, her knowledge sharp, no fluff. "You're good company," she said as they paused by the water. Jake shrugged. "I show up when I say I will." She smiled, getting it. On Tuesday, Logan called while Jake was prepping ribs for a client's tailgate. "Mia listed the house," he said. "Realtor sign went up yesterday. She's telling people you forced her hand." Jake brushed sauce onto the meat. "She forced her own. I paid my share, stepped back." "Her call." Logan hesitated. "She's at a smaller place now, some studio downtown. Looks rough." Jake set the brush down. "Her choices, not mine. Thanks for the heads up." He hung up, focused on the ribs, the sizzle grounding him. Wednesday brought an email from the utility company. Mia hadn't paid her half of the electric bill. Jake forwarded it to her with a note. "Your share's due." "I've covered mine." No reply came. He drove to a diner on South Lamar, grabbing a booth and a burger. His phone buzzed, a text from Tara. "Mia's in therapy. Says she's working on herself." "You sure you're done?" Jake typed. "She's working on her story. I'm working on my life." He paid the bill and left, the diner's neon sign fading in his rearview. By Friday, Jake's apartment felt like his own. He'd hung a shelf for his dad's old toolbox, a quiet nod to his roots. At the garage, he took on a side project, restoring a '67 Camaro for a local vet, no charge. Diego helped, learning fast, and Gina brought beers to celebrate the finished frame. "You're different," Gina said, clinking bottles. "Lighter." Jake nodded. Cut the dead weight. He didn't mean it cruelly, just factually. Mia's absence had cleared space for his own rhythm. Saturday's hike with Sarah took them to Mount Bunnell, the city sprawling below. She asked about his plans, no pressure in her tone. "Expanding the garage," Jake said. "Maybe start a mentorship for kids like Diego. Teach them a trade." Sarah nodded. "Solid. You're building something real." They ate tacos from a food truck after, her questions direct, her laugh easy. Jake felt no need to perform, just be. It was new, and he liked it. On Sunday, Jake ran into Mia at a grocery store parking lot off Guadalupe. She was loading bags into a compact car, her movements hurried. Their eyes met, a fleeting calculation. She spoke first, voice low. "House sold. Got a small place." "I'm trying, Jake." He set his bags in his truck. "Good. Keep trying." She stepped closer. "I didn't mean to push you away. Can we at least talk?" Jake shook his head. "We did. You chose your path. I'm on mine." He drove off. No glance back, the road ahead clear. The next week, Jake got a call from the realtor. Mia had settled the house sale, splitting the profit evenly without a fight. He deposited his share, paying off his truck loan. At the garage, he pitched the mentorship idea to his boss, who greenlit it. Diego signed up as the first mentee. Jake spent evenings sketching the program, his nights free of drama. Sarah invited him to a ranger-led stargazing event, and he said yes, no hesitation. Her honesty matched his, a quiet alignment. A month later, Tara texted, "Mia's teaching fewer classes. Says she's reflecting, owning her mistakes." Jake didn't reply. He was at the lake, testing a used boat motor he'd bought cheap. The engine roared to life, a small victory. He texted Sarah, "Boat's running. Want to try it out?" Her reply, "Saturday. I'm in." Jake smiled, the water glinting under the sun. Mia's world was hers to fix. Jake's was already in motion. Work, friends, a new connection, all built on respect, not promises. He didn't gloat or dwell. At the garage, he trained Diego, fixed cars, and planned the mentorship launch. At night, he cooked simple meals, his fridge stocked for one. When Sarah joined him for a boat ride, they talked about trails, not pasts. The moral wasn't loud or vengeful. Mia faced her consequences. A smaller life, less spotlight, forced to stand on her own. Jake found freedom and accountability, not to her, but to himself. He wasn't a prop or a fallback. He was a man who showed up for himself first.